Every ghost story has a beginning. Every unsolved mystery has an origin. But perhaps none is as chilling, as enduring, and as confounding as the very first great mystery of America, the disappearance of the Lost Colony of Roanoke. In 1587, over 100 English settlers set sail for the New World. Men, women, and children. They crossed the unforgiving Atlantic not as conquerors but as dreamers, farmers, craftsmen, families seeking to carve out a life in the vast wilderness of North America. They landed on Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. And then they vanished. When English ships returned 3 years later, not a single soul remained. Their houses were dismantled, their fort abandoned. There were no bodies, no graves, no sign of battle. Only one cryptic clue carved into a wooden post: the word CROATOAN. For centuries, historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists have tried to solve the riddle. Were the colonists slaughtered by hostile tribes? Did they starve, fall to disease, or scatter into the wilderness? Or was their fate far darker? Something unnatural, something the earth itself swallowed whole? This is the story of the Roanoke colony, and the terrifying possibility that what consumed them may still linger. The arrival. The English dream of colonizing the New World began with Sir Walter Raleigh. Queen Elizabeth granted him the charter to establish a foothold across the ocean, to stake England's claim against Spain's growing empire. The first attempts failed. Harsh winters, disease, and starvation drove settlers back to England. But in 1587, Raleigh tried again. This time, he sent 115 colonists, including women and children, the first English families ever to attempt permanent settlement in America. Their governor, John White, led them to Roanoke Island. Spirits were high. The colony began with optimism, planting crops, building homes, forging a fragile coexistence with nearby native tribes. Among them was White's own granddaughter, Virginia Dare, the first English child born in the New World. Her name would later become legend, but within weeks, supplies dwindled. Relations with some tribes soured, turning hostile. The settlers begged White to return to England for help. Reluctantly, he agreed, leaving behind his daughter, his granddaughter, and more than 100 colonists to fend for themselves. He never saw them again. The disappearance. White's return was delayed. England was at war with Spain, and every available ship was seized to fight the Spanish Armada. It took him 3 years to return to Roanoke. When he finally arrived in 1590, he found the settlement deserted. The fort stood empty, its timbers rotting. Houses were dismantled, suggesting the colonists hadn't fled in panic, but had taken time to disassemble their homes. Yet their fate was a riddle. No bodies, no signs of violence, no evidence of disease. The only clue, the word CROATOAN carved into a post, and the letters CRO carved into a nearby tree. CROATOAN was the name of a nearby island, home to friendly natives. White wanted to search there immediately, but a storm forced his ship back to sea. He never returned, and so the colonists of Roanoke passed into legend. The theories. Historians have argued endlessly over what happened. Some say the settlers integrated with the CROATOAN tribe, intermarrying and vanishing into native society. Indeed, later reports describe tribes with unusually light hair and eyes, but no definitive evidence has ever been found. Others argue they were slaughtered by hostile tribes, their remains hidden in mass graves. But the careful dismantling of their homes doesn't suggest massacre, it suggests deliberate movement. Some suggest starvation, disease, or dispersal into the wilderness. Yet no remains, no artifacts, no graves have ever surfaced. An entire colony erased. And then, there are the darker theories. The haunting. The word CROATOAN itself carries a chilling history. For centuries after the colony vanished, the word resurfaced in some of the most unsettling stories in American lore. In 1837, the poet Edgar Allan Poe disappeared mysteriously for several days. When he was finally found, delirious and near death, he whispered a single word before collapsing, CROATOAN. Days later, he was dead. In 1888, the stagecoach thief Black Bart carved the word CROATOAN into the wall of his prison cell, the night before he vanished without a trace. In 1921, Amelia Earhart stayed at a hotel in North Carolina. The word CROATOAN was later found scrawled in her room. She disappeared during her flight over the Pacific 6 years later. In 1937, the infamous horror writer Ambrose Bierce vanished in Mexico. The word CROATOAN was found written in his journal. And in 1961, a shipwreck was discovered off the coast of North Carolina. The last word carved into its mast, CROATOAN. Coincidence or curse? The paranormal theories. Some researchers believe the colonists fell victim to supernatural forces. The native tribes of the region spoke of dark spirits inhabiting the swamps and forests, entities that could consume entire groups, leaving no trace. The word CROATOAN may have been less a message than a warning, naming the force that took them. Others point to alien abduction, arguing that the clean disappearance, the lack of remains, and the eerie reappearance of the word across centuries suggests something beyond human explanation. Still, others speak of a dimensional rift. Roanoke Island has long been associated with strange lights, phantom ships, and unexplained phenomena. Could the colonists have stepped or been pulled into another reality? The modern search. For centuries, archaeologists have searched for answers. Excavations have uncovered tantalizing clues. European-style tools buried near native villages, pottery shards that may have belonged to the colonists, DNA tests on tribal descendants hinting at mixed ancestry. But none are conclusive. None explain why an entire colony left no graves, no bones, no clear trail. And so the mystery deepens. The terror. What makes Roanoke so haunting is not just that over 100 people vanished. It's that they vanished together. Entire families, children, parents, grandparents, swallowed whole without a scream, without a sign, without a trace. It's the oldest American mystery, and perhaps the darkest. Because if an entire colony could vanish into thin air, what does that say about the safety of the present? The forests of North Carolina still stand. The swamps still whisper. Strange lights are still reported off the coast, dancing in the night sky. And the word CROATOAN continues to appear, etched into our history like a warning we refuse to hear. Perhaps the settlers of Roanoke weren't lost at all. Perhaps they were claimed. And perhaps somewhere they are still waiting in another world, another time, another place. Maybe they are not gone. Maybe they are simply beyond our reach. But one thing is certain. The fate of the lost colony remains America's most chilling mystery. And the word carved into the wood, the last desperate message of over 100 vanished souls, still echoes today. CROATOAN, a single word, curse, a warning, a mystery that refuses to die.